Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Morning.
Hope everybody had a wonderful summer. And we just passed Labor Day, and so when I think of Labor Day, I think of all of the great work that we have in front of us. That's one way to look at it. So we shouldn't mourn about the loss of the summer days. We have a great agenda in front of us, and as we begin to talk later on when the executive director gives her report, what we want to do is to put some of the items that we have within a context so that way we can understand why we're looking at some of the items that we're looking at. Bob, maybe you might
Sure.
Talk about that, because I think that compared to a number of years ago, we didn't have these items, and so we're glad to have them now.
Now, there are a lot of projects that we do that never make it to this committee. I mean, several hundred. I mean, there's, on all of our campuses, there are projects going on that,
So we'll
relate
talk
to
about that in a
campus.
little while. Thank you very much. So I just want to note, we do have a presence of a quorum here, and so therefore the meeting is hereby called to order. And the first thing I'd like to do is if you have the minutes from the June 9th meeting, if I can entertain any amendments, or is there any amendments or anything to the minutes? Can I have therefore a motion to approve? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Second. It's been duly second. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. And what I'd like to do is to go to the resolution of the construction fund, which is item number 2 on the agenda, authorizing a contract to purchase services and equipment to design and install required additional work for the administrative building fire alarm system at Baruch College. And I'll read the resolution and then we can just get a brief explanation. I think it's good. While there might be some of these that we might combine, but I think it's noteworthy for us to understand exactly what is happening in each area and to pay attention to the detail of that. So resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorizes the Executive Director to execute a contract with the firm of Siemens Industry, Inc. to design and install a Class A return riser in the fire alarm system that Siemens is currently installing in the Baruch College Administration Building as part of the previously approved resolution number 2034, which is dated June 17, 2009. This extra work is required to achieve approval of the system by the New York City Fire Department, and the additional contract shall be chargeable to the State Capital Construction Fund, number 259-970-9999, for an amount not to exceed $60,000. And of course, the contract shall be subject to approval as to form by the fund's general counsel. And so if we could just have a brief overview of this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This actually is an item that the board saw back in June of 2009. And as a result of the fact that the current fire alarm system is not meeting code, we had to upgrade the fire alarm system. There was more work that needed to be done that was in the original resolution, and so this is a change order to increase the amount that we're coming back for. And you will note on another item that we're going to talk about that it is also a fire alarm issue, which we're doing quite a lot of work on at the university. So it's just an increase from the amount.
Okay, good. Thank you very
I just
much.
want to add something to what Ira said. I mean, fundamentally, for us to get the fire alarm approved, it's got to be approved by the fire department. And when they come in and do their final review, they sometimes see things that either the contractor didn't know that had to be done, or the code has changed, or something has happened between when we started and when we finished. And to get the approval, we have to basically do the work. I mean, basically meet the new codes, and those codes are continually evolving. And that's what happened on actually this change order and also on the other one.
So you're saying originally you were not required to build a Class A
You didn't have to have a
riser?
return riser, but now now you need the return riser as well as the regular riser. I mean, it's.
And maybe if you could just explain for the trustee the return riser and the significance of that.
I'll do my best, but
Yeah.
I probably did it wrong. This is
Not a fire alarm.
where the fire alarm things are set up. I mean, basically, there are a lot of things that turn off automatically if the fire alarm goes on, like elevators will basically turn off. So the way they wire it, they probably have to protect the riser that gets back there. So I'm kind of I don't think I'm making this up, but I mean, these things are pretty technical, and my chief engineer is basically, we do these in one of two ways. Either we, CUNY, CUCF manages the contract, which is what we've done here, or in many instances, we're doing fire alarm projects that DASNY is managing for us. So it always winds up in the same situation. It's only when CUCF is holding the contract and there's a change to it that it comes back to this board for approval, because that's the way our rules require us to work. And there are two of the items on the agenda today have to do with fire alarm and additional work that was necessary to get the approval we need from the fire department. So.
The other thing is that, Bob is right. I mean, this particular project was started in 2009. The Buildings Department is a very robust agency that is constantly coming up with new rules and regulations, and at the point that, we then say, well, we're done with the job, and the fire department comes back, and the buildings department may say, no,
Not
you're
quite.
not, because there's been a change. So we will often see corrections that we have to make to stay relevant within the building code.
These are kind of projects that we feel very strongly just have to be done. I mean,
Well,
because
to
it
get
makes
fire
no
department
sense not to
approval,
do it.
absolutely.
Right.
I just wanna make sure I understand it, at least in layman
Okay.
terms. What function does this riser serve? What does it actually do? Does it protect the alarm system in case there's a fire so it still goes off?
Bob, I don't know,
Let me-
but my sense is there must be a lot of stuff running through that riser that
There's
needs
probably a
to-
lot running through the riser.
Basically, it provides redundancy for the
Oh.
system.
Okay.
So if something, so that
If
the
you have a
alarm
failure on
would,
the primary circuit, you have a secondary way of keeping it whole.
so it increases the,
It's redundancy.
It's like a fail-safe.
reliability
Yeah.
Correct.
of the alarm system.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a-
I understand now.
Yeah, that's
I don't need to know much more than that.
But the redundancy is important, and I think that these type of things are important because we've seen where, I don't know if any of you have ever been involved in fire situations, but where they don't have these type of redundancies, that's where you really have problems
You
and
could have a
issues
serious
in
problem.
place. And
Right.
we put too much money into our construction projects not to put this type of maintenance patch in place, so that way we can protect the integrity of our assets. So, any other questions? And these are good.
And just to reinforce
Yes.
what Bob and Iris said, they're absolutely correct. Even if the building department or fire department have not changed the code, there's a provision in the code that allows the fire commissioner anytime to come in and just say, I want this to be done because of life and
Right.
safety. So that's
You
something.
don't
that-
have a lot of discretion when they
That's
say,
correct. They do have
do
a,
X.
fire department has a lot of discretion.
Right.
That's what it would say.
And as Bob noted, you need their sign off on a fire alarm
Right.
system.
Right.
So,
Because it's not arguing with code, it's just say, I want it done. And it's like,
So
Okay.
thank you very much. So, any other discussion? Can we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, it carries. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, if you happen to have any Blackberries or iPhones or whatever,
Mine's off.
if you could, I think you have to actually turn them off
Yeah.
because it interferes with the equipment, so. So, if you can go through that momentary withdrawal as I am, then, for a little while, you'll be okay. Thank you so much. It passes. Therefore, I'd like to go to the next item, which is the resolution of the City University Construction Fund authorizing additional work for the purchase and installation of a new fire alarm wiring system and related work in 475 Grand Concourse, which is Building A at Ostos Community College. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorizes the Executive Director to execute a change order with the firm of Johnson Controls for the purchase of additional services and equipment for the fire alarm installation currently underway as part of the previously approved resolution, which was number 2038, which was dated on June the 17th of 2009. The new fire alarm system installation for Building A at Ostos Community College, currently being performed under New York State Office of General Services contract, PT 63103, requires additional work not previously anticipated. The total cost of this work shall be chargeable to the city fund source project, 042 HS 003 -001 at 50%, and then also the other to the State Capital Construction Fund at 50% for an amount not to exceed $140,000. You can
This is a
elaborate on this.
This is a similar, situation to the Baruch one. The fire department came in recently for an inspection, and, they came up with several additional recommendations, that they would like to see, for this 475, building. And they, came in and suggested that we, install 9 area smoke detectors, that we, install, a fuse, cutout panel, on one side of a switch, and they also said that we had to install 8 heat detectors in the basement near the fuel tank. So these are additional items that we had to add to the work, and, hopefully it will not exceed $140,000, but as you noted, since this is a community college, it's 50% by the state and 50% by the city.
Right. May I ask, the one question that comes to mind with these two for me is, so we're doing this because we didn't anticipate that we would need them, and there was an inspection from the fire department. And so, how can that come about, and are there any other type of projects like that that would come within our purview where we haven't previously anticipated that the regulations should be up to a certain code?
But, Bob should go over it and
Okay.
talk about not only these projects, but in addition, when we complete major projects, new buildings, and we're going for TCOs, what'll happen is, and we've experienced now a couple of times, the buildings department will walk through and, make some recommendations that we have to do X, Y, and Z work, and, so it's not just, state of good repair projects, it's
Any project.
it's all the projects we're working on.
Many times, when the inspector comes, they are the ones that will make the call. On this project, when we did the original project, we basically worked with JCI for develop the scope of what needed to be done. Most of these are in mechanical spaces; they're not in inhabited spaces in the building. So, for whatever the reason, I don't know whether it was the code or they just missed them, but they weren't included in the scope of the work that JCI was contracted to do. But then, when the fire department does the final inspection, they said, you missed 8 rooms. We want additional smoke detectors in the mechanical rooms, which no one is in, but basically they want the alarm to go off. And the ones in the basement, they want additional heat sensors near the boiler so that they feel like they're getting greater coverage. Now, is this required? It's required because that's what we
They say
needed
so.
to do when they said, you gotta do it. So, since it wasn't in the original scope of the contract with Johnson Controls, it becomes a change order, and it comes back to this committee because everything that's a change comes back to when we hold the contract. So should it have been? It all depends. I mean, how
Well,
necessary are these things?
I think what we feel, and I hope the board would feel as well, is we're not gonna second guess the fire
You can't.
department.
You can't.
It's safety first and foremost, and particularly if it's an educational building, we wanna make sure that we have the bells and the whistles, and we're not gonna second guess them, and if they feel this is what's needed, we'll put it in the building.
And so that, that's why you have the Board of Standards and Appeals, which is that in rare occasions where you really feel vehemently that you feel that the fire department is in the wrong, the relief valve is to go to an agency like DSA and says, I think the fire department is overly aggressive in this instance, and they can grant you relief, and that's another way to think, which
But
is.
let me just say, since I've been here for the last 4.5 years, we have not done that.
Right.
We've accepted what they have to say,
Right.
and we have made the corrections.
Fire department, we would not do something like that. Where we might do that is if you're doing a new building and you need a zoning modification, and you can avoid a full-blown process for you.
The private sector tend to do it more because it costs them a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
here, as a public institution, you're looking at safety. God forbid something
Right.
happen, and you challenge it. There's a record on record that you challenge the fire department and BSA, and God forbid there's a fire on that
Liability.
field.
Be in
You're
that
not gonna-
room.
you're not
Be in
gonna be
that
there,
room
Wellington.
giving a
And the
deposition.
insurance company
Yeah,
says,
exactly.
well, listen,
Won't be meeting.
fire
Yeah,
department
exactly.
requested it, and you
Right.
challenge it.
Yeah, for under 200,000, I mean, it makes sense to do.
Yes.
You know, but just kind of wondering about the process, so I think that's good explanation. Any other questions or discussion on this particular item around fire alarm? It's a great discussion, in fact, because it helps to make us more aware of exactly some of the nuts and bolts around the maintenance issues that are taking place. So thank you for that. If not, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Thank you very much. So the next item has to do with the resolution of the construction fund authorizing an emergency HVAC work again at 475 Grand Concourse Building A at Ostos Community College. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorizes the Executive Director to execute an emergency contract for the purchase of services and equipment as required for the installation of a new HVAC equipment for the A building at Ostos Community College. And the total cost of all such purchases shall be chargeable to the State Capital Construction Fund at 50%, and also to the New York City Capital Budget at 50%. Project number HS 022005 for an amount not to exceed $650,000. And again, CUNY will proceed with the equipment on an emergency basis with selected bidders.
This past July, I had got notified by President Matos Rodriguez at Ostos that emergency condition existed regarding their HVAC system in the 475 building. There are currently two 30-ton units and one 15-ton unit. One of the 30-ton units had been out of commission since 2009, and the other 30-ton unit broke down in January of this year. So we had one 15-ton unit really covering the entire load. And so these units provide both fresh and air conditioning, fresh air and air conditioning to the educational spaces. So clearly, we had a crisis on our hands. So this work will allow us to replace all three of the HVAC units in the building. The existing units will be demolished, and we will create new connections to the new replacement units. And I might add that this is a typical state of good repair project that probably back in 2009, when the first unit went down, we should have instituted a project. But you know, now we have quite a bit of critical maintenance money, and we have an acknowledgement by the city that they will fund certain projects. So between those two cases, now we're able to respond, I think, on a much quicker basis to these type of critical maintenance projects.
This was, once again, this is a community college, so it required both the city and state matching money. We had the state, it was the city that has recently come to the conclusion that they should be investing in these kind of things. So that was very positive. And we want to get these units up there and connected before the cooling season starts next year. So that's why we need to get this thing.
Can the space be
expedited.
used in the meanwhile?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
using it. They are using it. They just can't cool it. I mean, there's not adequate cooling. They'll move the air around, but it's not cool. But fortunately,
One 15-ton unit's not gonna,
they
you know,
limp
this
through
is
the
main
summer, but
building.
it's time to get it done.
If
Fall
you've been to
months.
the building, it's just horrendous. It's, you know, the heat, I mean, it just takes a lot of capacity, you know, to really cool the building down to make it bearable to work in and to study in. So
It's not a good learning environment.
No.
No,
yeah, no, not
but
at all.
we want to make it so that when they do need it, comes April or May, we're set and running.
And the building is pretty active actually during the summer also at Ostos. So I'm assuming that you have a list where we would be able to know exactly what the useful life of certain equipment would be on a number of the different colleges and when we might.
Yeah, that was the
need
basis
to,
for our state of good repair request to the state, and we've done that analysis, and we've just updated it, and we continue to update that, so we know what those things are. And we we monitor pretty closely our investments in these kind of systems throughout. I mean, and is a useful life, and either you can exceed that useful life if you really maintain it well, or if you don't maintain it well, you're not even going to get there. So we've got to watch these, and we work closely with the colleges to understand what's going on with their needs.
Which is also why, if I just could segue, I mean, one of the issues that we're grappling with now is that because so many new buildings are coming online, we're making absolutely sure that the colleges have the proper training on this equipment.
To maintain.
So the useful life will exceed
Yes, right.
what is currently exceeding on many of these campuses.
Good.
And the issue is that a lot of this equipment, as Bob can explain to you, and Mike, it's very complicated equipment. It's not simple equipment that we're putting into our
Especially the newer
buildings,
stuff.
particularly the science buildings. And so, we're making absolutely sure that before we hand over the buildings, that the individual colleges have the proper training and knowledge about the equipment that we've put in.
That's smart. This $650,000 is an internal estimate. It's like a rough estimate based on your previous experiences.
They've done some pricing, so this is a pretty good estimate what we think it's going to cost.
Okay.
My engineers basically looked at the design. We were looking at the way the engineer designed the dunnage and how we're going to do it. We've made some modifications, but we've priced out the equipment, and we're pretty confident with the estimate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I mean, I think offline, a few of us were talking about the fact that we were not getting, especially at the community colleges, we weren't able to proceed with a lot of the maintenance projects because we weren't able to get the correct matching in place. And it seems like we're getting a regular flow. For those who have been here for a while, they know that we were struggling with trying to get this happening. Bob, do you have a perspective?
I think
Maybe Gwen can talk about
Gwen,
the money that we've gotten from the city.
We have, actually this year, we've had with the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor, Weintraub, as well as Christensen, we've had an agreement with OMB that we would press the elected officials, instead of giving us pet projects, to give us money for critical maintenance. And the last 2 years they have. And the city, OMB, said they would match that funding. And again, they did it this year. And in this plan, not the adopted budget where they normally give us money, but in this September plan, which came out yesterday, they gave us $9.7 million in matching critical maintenance funds for the community colleges. And so I
So
would say.
basically, that's 20, we view that as
That's
$20
$20
million
worth of
because
stuff we can do.
we can now match it against state funds, and that's on top of what they gave us, what we got in the executive budget, right?
Right, exactly, and slowly but surely, I think we're getting up to speed here about the community colleges and critical maintenance.
And part of it,
I'm sorry, Phil, you were absolutely right. When we did the first state of good repair thing, and the state basically put a lot of money into all of our colleges, state of good repair, including money for the community colleges, at that point in time, and for the next 2 years, there was no matching from the city. So, I mean, it's gotten substantially better over the last 2 or 3 years, so, yeah.
and what's also been good, part of that strategy where I've been involved is where we would have meetings with a number of the city council persons. They would come to different events at the community colleges. We would have those type of events there so that they can see it, feel it, and touch it. And if it was hot or something, or they would see that, or we would just casually point out things that would be important to their constituencies. And so that also helped us to get that type of support. So it was a full-flung type of a strategic effort, and I'm just glad that we were able to work all of the pieces in partnership to bring this about. So it's really good to see it. So I herald approving fire alarm systems and air conditioning, where it might seem like it's very minor, but it's very major when you something happens.
There's a fire.
Yeah,
It's pretty major.
it's really something. So can I have a motion to? Can we approve? I think we approve. Can we approve? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. And so let's see. The item number is for number 5, which is the resolution of the City University Construction Fund authorizing the annual procurement report and procurement guidelines 2111 resolved that pursuant to section 2879 of the New York Public Authorities Law and the City University Construction Fund guidelines for procurement contracts as amended through October 14, 2008, the annual report on procurement contracts of the City University Construction Fund for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2011, which we're calling the 2011 procurement report, attached as Exhibit 1 to this resolution, and the procurement guidelines as amended through September 22nd, 2011, attached as Exhibit 2 to this resolution be and hereby are approved and adopted. And so if we could maybe just have an explanation of
Sure.
any questions that individuals might have about this.
And
these
I am gonna
documents.
turn, this part of the agenda over to Jeff Weinstein. Jeff is the Director of Procurement, for CUCF. And I have to say that he and his staff, have done a yeoman's share, of work in terms of all of, the contracts that we've engaged in over the last 2 years. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Jeff.
Thank you. The annual report is a compilation of all of the fund's procurement activity in fiscal year 2011. Just to recap a little bit, the report covers about 115 contracts, including about 65 new contracts that were entered into in fiscal 2011. Most of those were the 50 or so architectural design requirements contracts that the board approved at its last meeting. So there's been a lot going on this past year. The total payments for all these contracts is about $30 million. Also, I just want to point out that there might be some technical revisions that we have to make, and if so, we'll just provide an amended report to the board. This is a fairly comprehensive and current picture of all of our activity over the last year.
Does this include the projects that Robert Lemieux mentioned earlier that don't come before this organization?
To the extent that it involved the payment of CUCF funds, yes.
So this is the total CUCF for 2011, fiscal 2011.
Yes.
And, we've talked about it at this, board meeting before, but one of the tools that we've used that have been very effective for us is that we have, let a number of requirements contracts. And I just wanna say that takes a lot of work on the front end.
Right.
And Jeff and his staff and Bob and his staff have to put a lot of effort in, to get those requirements contracts bid and in place. But once the bid and in place, it is a great resource, not only for us, but for the campuses as well, who can draw upon these contracts. And, I always go back to, when I started here 4.5 years ago, and the first thing I heard from all the campuses was, why does it take 3 years to get a simple Res OA project done? The reason it took 3 years is because the first year and a half was spent procuring the services of either an architectural or engineering firm to be able to do the work. Well, we've taken that piece out, and so now we have a whole cadre of vendors that we can easily go to, and I believe that those requirements contracts are for a 3-year term?
3-year term.
3-year term, so that we don't have to go out every year and rebid
Understood.
these contracts. So, a lot of what you're gonna see on this list really goes to that idea.
Those are the task orders for the contracts that have been approved. So when we do this, and I think at the last board meeting, we took our architectural requirements contract for 51 firms, and subsequent to that, we will be issuing task orders for specific projects against those contracts. So the contracts have already gone to the board. The task orders don't go to the board for approval. Then the process is in front of us on those things, as Iris suggested, which is a very positive thing.
And we've got a full complement now for architectural design, engineering design, construction manager build, and design construction manager build. So we're pretty well covered.
Just to clarify, it's not that there are projects that don't come to the board. Just about everything that's in excess of $10,000 comes to the board. But in the case of requirements contracts, we bring the individual contracts to the board, and the board approves the contract agreement at its maximum offset value. And then over the life of the contract, we'll issue a task order. So it might be a contract that has a $5 million or $10 million maximum upset. And of that, we might issue a $100,000 task order here, a $250,000 task order. The individual task orders don't necessarily
I
come
see.
back to the board.
I see.
But expenditures made against those task orders are included in the report.
And Jeff, when you step back and think about the quality of the firms now, their ability to carry out our work, their efforts with affirmative action requirements, what is your overall feeling about this year?
Very positive.
And can you say what? Can you elaborate a little more?
I mean, on
Give
a
us a feel.
substantive level, and Bob can speak much better to this, and we've got an A-list team of architectural firms now in place.
We do. I mean, when we did the requirements contract for the architectural stuff, the submissions from firms seeking to do business with us filled a room this big with the boxes of their submissions. I mean, literally, we did, and we had like 7 people on the committee vetting 200 firms. We eventually narrowed it down to about 50, 51. We have not issued any task orders to those firms yet, but that's going to start very soon, like very soon. And the engineering firms that we did last year, we've had very good success in terms of requirements, including the affirmative action requirements that we set into our contracts with them. So it's enabled us to do things without a year and a half wait to get the thing initiated. So it's been very positive.
And, it's amazing, we all go to conferences and we speak and we talk about community success, and after each of those conferences, there must be 4 or 5 different firms who contact us and say, wow, I didn't know that even though we've advertised and we put it on our website, and I would say Bob and I in the last 2 weeks probably met with 3 major architecture firms. I mean, these are world-renowned firms who basically say, well, how do we get on the list? How do we get included? How do we, how did we miss this? So
you gotta keep speaking.
exactly. But there is, there's a lot of interest now in doing work for CUNY, so that's a good thing. And the prices are still low enough that we are seeing.
And our process for selecting a firm with Jeff is that we know what we want to do. We develop the scope. We pick 3 or 4 or 5 firms from our pre-qualified list and say, here's the scope. Take a look at it. Tell us how you will do it. Tell us who you're going to put on the job. Tell us what your fee's going to be. And it keeps it pretty level.
Are there any women-owned firms on the list?
There are some. I don't know exactly. Jeff?
About, I can't give you the exact breakdown, but about 20% of the firms were either New York State certified minority or women-owned businesses.
Okay. That's good. No, that's good, that's positive. And so, are there any gaps, I mean, understanding that we have A-level firms on the list, if we would think about next year, are there any gaps or areas that you're looking to try to improve overall from the standpoint of offerings or quality, or
I think it's a
just
little
general?
early for us to do that. I mean, we're going to start getting experience with the firms that are on our list, and we will do that over the next year. And it's a 3-year contract with some opportunities for renewal, I believe. So we'll have a better sense of that. And it's not clear that all the firms are going to be great. I mean, we'll find out. But if they're not, they won't make the second job. It's that simple. So, but we've got a very good list of firms, and I think it's the first set of the first contract in this report identifies all those firms.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you categorize these firms in terms of their areas of expertise or their capabilities?
We basically did it in 5 different subsets. One general architectural, then high performance buildings. There were 5 components that we certified people for, that we qualified firms for.
I see.
It depends upon their expertise. So some have expertise in building envelope, which a a lot of our work is building
Building
envelope. Building envelope,
Yeah, yeah.
facade, roof,
Yeah.
what have you. So, yeah, depending on the firm.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get a motion to adopt?
I move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It carries. Thank you very much, Chip. We appreciate you. And also very good work to the total organization and the team for all their work in pulling this about and raising the quality of individuals that we have who are working with us. Really be commended for that. It's not something that one just takes for granted, so thank you. And we know that it's hard work. We just want to acknowledge that.
Not to mention the
Excellence
time-
doesn't come
Not to
easy.
mention the time it saves.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. And I'm sure money also, without
Oh,
a
yeah,
doubt.
time is money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, thank you very much for that. And what we like to do, just in terms of myself, we're going to have the next meeting on November the 10th, and we'll send out notice for that. There are a number of
You have to do it on my birthday?
we'll bring cake. We will have cake.
The fire department will object to the candles.
yeah.
There's too many
So-
fire hazard here.
We have
We may
equipment.
add cost to your procurement again.
Like the fire department.
I'm not sure where the meeting will be. We'll have John Jay set up at that time.
Well, yeah, I
and,
wanted, if I could, I wanted to give a little update on what buildings,
yeah, why
what
don't you do it?
projects were
'Cause Main
completed.
Street, yeah, that-
Yeah. So, on September 6th, we had the opening of our simulation lab. That's our partnership with NYU
Right up.
Medical. And, yeah, for those who saw it, it was
Yeah.
in the Wall Street Journal as well as in the New York Times. And I just wanna thank Jennifer and Dana Sunshine of the Public-Private Partnership Group. This was a project that took a lot of moving parts to get together, but we did it. And
Great
we're
project.
also very thankful to Speaker Silver because he is the one after 9/11 who made sure that that appropriation was put in place to create a center like this. And it is now the state-of-the-art simulation center, probably in the country, if one had to say. Next Tuesday, the Hunter School of Social Work, actually I gotta call it by its proper name, the Silverman School of Social Work
Right.
and Public Health
Oh, see.
in East Harlem will have its official opening. The staff moved in August and classes began in August. I have to say, from beginning to end, to beginning of putting the shovel in the ground to the end, the entire construction period on this project was 14 months. And at the same
That's
time,
phenomenal.
Wow.
at the same time, we built a residence hall on the site in 11 months. And so it's truly amazing what the Brodsky organization did and, you know, what our staff did, because Bob and Jim Glover and David Salmon, who oversees Hunter, were really on the job and doing a great bit of oversight that allowed us to get this project done. And I have to say that, you know, probably this is one of the best examples of a public-private partnership I think that any university is probably engaged in. It was quite phenomenal. So on Tuesday, we will have the official opening of that building. You mentioned John Jay. There are two parts to that building. There's the low-rise and then there's the high-rise of the building. The low-rise portion will be, I guess, we'll start to use their space in October, and then in November will be the official opening of that space. And I don't know if this board noted, but Secretary Clinton on 9/11 made a major address, and she did it at John Jay in the new low-rise building. So it's already had its first major event, and the high-rise portion, which is a much more complex building, because it has all the stuff in it. It's got the food element and the classrooms and the labs. That will open a couple of months later. And I just have to thank Mike and his staff at
They did a
Dazzling.
great job.
They did a superb job on this project, as well as Turner Construction did really an excellent job. I like to say in my job that if I don't hear about a project, that means it's going well. If I know too much about a project, it means it's not going well. And thank God, Mike, I didn't have to hear a lot about the John Jay building, but it's really gonna make a dramatic difference to the students at John Jay. In particular, the green roof and the campus that we've created, on that roof will give those students an element that they've not had, to this point. I just wanna, give sort of an update on some other projects that this board.
Can I just,
Yeah.
just a piece for the board, if you haven't seen, you ought to just spend some time and go up to the offices upstairs so that you can see the John Jay from above, and really appreciate it. I mean, later on you'll see it from below, but if you can just, Bob or one of the staff will take you
We have
upstairs.
the north side of this building on the 10th floor, and we overlook from the north side of the building, the John Jay. We watched it from the time they started to move, the demolition, moving the dirt around, the steel going up, to the building being enclosed, and it was quite.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a perfect.
it was phenomenal. I don't live too far from here, and I saw the building going up every day, and it's just phenomenal. But really, just spend some time. It's just another view that
Yeah.
you get, and
Yeah.
so you really can
Did you
appreciate
set up
the
time-lapse
immense.
photography in your office?
I had my own set of binoculars, which I just watched a lot of things
Yeah.
going on there, which was fascinating.
Just to see them
The
crawling.
workers didn't like it too much, cause every once in a while they weren't harnessed in when they were doing the steel.
Yes.
Bob would give a call over to Turner, they gotta
That's
harness
scary.
themselves in
Yeah.
as they was swinging back and forth.
Yeah,
Watching.
it was a little crazy. It
Yeah.
really was.
So-
Safely.
They were also watched by CBS, so.
Yes. So they didn't like the location too much. The other thing is that, we are, in earnest in construction on a number of projects that this, board has seen, has voted on. The law school is, into construction in a big way, and, we're very excited about the project, and, it's moving along well.
And we've gotten past those issues, that we,
Yes. And the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College, they're doing the asbestos
abatement now.
abatement, and then
Yes.
they're gonna do the demolition. And Vinnie's not here, but I really have to thank Vinnie and the staff. We had some low bids on the demolition contract, and we went with the firm that there were some issues about in the past. They agreed to a monitor, and the firm is working out really very well. And, it's a good thing for us and a good thing for the firm, because we've been able to rehabilitate them. And now, if you go on Vendex, they've had work with CUNY, and they've agreed to a monitor, and it's worked out well, so we're very pleased. 17 Lex at Baruch College, we will start soon on phase 1 of the upgrading and modernization of that building. And Bob and I have spent a lot of time with the president and the architects to really get this project started very soon. And last, just was it yesterday, the day before, we were at Lehman, day before.
2 days ago, right.
We broke ground for a new child care center at Lehman. This will be the second prefab child care center that we have put up. The first one was at Bronx Community College, which is up and operating now. And this is now the second one that we will engage both the firm and the architect to come up with a building that won't take us 4 or 5 years to build. They will assemble it on site, and it will allow us to have at any given time 140 children in this new child care development center. So we're very pleased with all that's going on, and there's just a lot going on our campuses.
That's great,
and
that's great. But good. Great work, and good work, great work.
Thank you.
How about the Wexler Library in Hunter? What's the status there?
We are proceeding with that project. I believe that Bob and his staff.
We're waiting for Hunter's architect to finalize the design.
It's not finalized yet?
No, we haven't received the final documents from Hunter yet.
Oh, okay.
And we have identified one of our CM build contractors to manage the contract. We're about to finalize our agreement with them. The architects, we're waiting for some stuff from the architect.
Okay. That's shortly coming, I assume.
We hope.
We hope so.
How about the Louis Armstrong Museum?
That has been, to be honest, has been a challenge for us, and.
No
the-
change since the last time?
No, I mean, the latest hurdle, as we explained last time that we hit, was that the zoning changed in that part of Queens. The the architect of record did not know that the zoning had changed, and so therefore, he has to go back and now comply with the new zoning.
Right,
And I
he's-
believe it has to do with setbacks, am I right,
Setbacks,
Mike?
yes.
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 It would
Maybe you
appreciably
wanna give
reduce the
them-
side building
Yes.
to meet the new, so
Zoning
they were looking at
requirement.
possibly, looking for, this college is looking at possibly trying to get the variance on the zoning.
Yeah, that would
Which
be.
would require us to go to
The neighbors
BSA,
and-
to go to BSA,
Right.
and then, you know, once you go to BSA, as Wellington will tell you, you open it up to the whole world. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
everyone will have a second bite at that apple in
Mhm.
terms of
Mhm.
what
I
they
see.
like, or they don't like,
Yeah.
so.
And this is
Um,
going to be a very difficult, one of the neighbors is not.
Right, I heard about
predisposed
that.
with
So
this,
are
so-
other sites a possibility?
Not really, because, you know, we have the existing house and, you know, they
It's
have
where the
the-
home is.
And, you know, so the whole concept was to create the visitor center, and, you know, to really get this as one unified,
Hmm.
project now. So, we sort of have to work with the college and with DASNY to sort of figure out what we're gonna do here. I mean, we tried to purchase one of the adjacent homes, and, the price that they were asking was, we couldn't, I mean, our appraisal just would not justify paying that
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
And we're using public funds, so.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
It's gotta be
And that
reasonable.
happens to be the neighbor who's not disposed to the project.
that's too bad. I was there during the summer. I don't know if you've been over there. I mean, it's just a fantastic location, but, neighbors can, sometimes create issues.
Can be difficult.
Yeah.
To wait them out.
That's right.
That'd be a long time.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is something you can wait, if you want to save time. BSA is still faster than, sometimes.
And one more question, this is maybe unrelated to us, but I wanna know if there's any way we would be involved in, joint projects with an Ivy League school on Roosevelt Island. Is that something that would come to us?
It depends, what our partnership entails. We are currently, part of two proposals for this new project that you talked about, that the city is putting out, this new engineering school.
Right.
We have partnered with, NYU, and, we may be partnering, I can't say publicly, but we may be partnering with another major institution that's gonna put a proposal in.
Non-Ivy
It's
League.
been in the papers.
It's, yes,
Not
okay,
Ivy
well,
League.
I do. Anyway, it all depends what our role is, whether, you know, they're gonna use one of our sites, or whether they want us to do the construction.
I see.
We haven't gotten that far yet, so, we'll have to wait and see what this, but a number of people are interested in CUNY vis-à-vis this project.
I think it's flattering.
Yes,
No.
absolutely flattering.
Very
No,
smart
no, it
of
is.
institutions to want to partner with CUNY.
Yeah.
This kind of a thing.
Yeah, we're-
Well, look at the role we're on.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Exactly.
pretty impressive role.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's good
The
business.
buildings that we are putting up at City College, the ASRC and the City
Mm.
College Science Center are state-of-the-art.
Hmm.
Really?
Yes, very much so.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Does Mike have anything?
Mike, do you, how things
I
going?
know trustee Hankin had asked that I talk a little bit about the energy conservation program that CUNY
If you could
has,
just
so-
talk up a little, Mike. it's
Yeah.
easy.
So if you'd like, I do that, or I could talk about complexities of systems, if you like, how that's changed over time, or I could talk about the projects that we have going on. I got anything you want.
You got 3 speeches.
Yeah, which one would you like?
10 minutes.
So I'll stick to the energy conservation project. So I guess that goes back quite a ways. In the mid-1990s, CUNY started putting in their capital requests for energy conservation projects. And ever since the mid-1990s, there's been in each year monies put into their projects, or into their budgets for energy conservation purposes. We've probably done 50 major projects of that type over that time that was specifically geared towards that initiative. And most of the projects, the largest ones, are central boiler plant upgrades projects.
Mm.
So we've completed ones at York City, Hunter, Brooklyn, and Queensborough. So
From
generally
grade 6 to grade 2 oil kind of stuff?
well, some of those was 6, most of them go into gas though, and
We went to
all
gas.
Oh, I
the
see.
new ones
Yeah,
are
yeah.
dual fuel. So you
That
have
makes
gas
sense.
as your primary fuel, and you have number 2 oil as your secondary
I
fuel
see.
during cold weather.
Usually.
That's most, if we can do, we do it that way. Another one that's been more recent are site lighting. So at Staten Island College and at Queens College, we have projects now looking at site lighting and the use of LEDs as opposed to
Even going back to the
conventional lighting
1990s, though,
systems.
we did a lot of the change outs earlier than most agencies in the city did. I mean,
all the interior lighting that was done by through
More efficient,
NIPA
systems.
programs.
yeah.
How about natural light also?
Oh, yeah, well, in new designs, it's a big deal. If you look at it, all the new designs, they use natural light. You know, John Jay, for instance, is
Just thinking about the same thing.
unbelievable
You can see.
example of that.
You know, gotta get by
Yeah, right.
Another place that is unique to educational facilities and research facilities is fume hoods. Fume hoods are, you know, these cabinets that they use that, if you're working with chemicals that are caustic or hazardous, you work with them within a fume hood. But the thing with fume hoods is that you're expelling all this air out of the building. If you have a research facility, a huge amount of air is going out of the building that's already conditioned. So it's very energy inefficient kind of a thing, but you need to do it for safety. So what we've done in a few cases is the state of the art on fume hoods has changed quite a bit, and now they're much more efficient. So when we've gone and retrofitted fume hoods in buildings, like Marshak building at City College, for instance, and you wind up with huge savings on your energy side because of the amount of air how much less air you have to condition. So you save on that. Other ones are just modifications to HVAC systems, building systems. So making them more efficient, putting in more controls, using variable speed drives, more efficient equipment as it is, and done those kind of projects. Just to give you an idea, one of the projects we're doing now is at Lehman. We're starting design for a Lehman College project, and it's boiler plant upgrade. It involves replacing boilers that are around 1964 vintage, even though they had their burners upgraded in 1991 to dual fuel. And there's some chiller modifications, also distribution system modifications. So in that case, we're looking at probably saving 111,500 million BTUs per year, which, to give you an idea, that's like, I don't know, about $880,000 worth of fuel.
Wow.
Per
That's
year.
impressive.
So the amount of savings on energy and also greenhouse gases that you're saving is pretty impressive. So just give you an
Any
idea.
opportunities to save, is it cost effective, to look at things like geothermal or solar?
We are
or
doing
are those
some
things more
solar.
expensive?
They're doing some photovoltaics. We just finished a real small installation at Hunter, looking at larger installations at LaGuardia, and guys are looking at one at BMCC.
We're looking at one at BMCC.
In the main building, yep.
And in the design of the new building at York College, we are thinking about either geothermal or making some use of the high groundwater levels in that location and the temperature differential
Yeah.
to basically give us the delta T we need to do some of these HVAC systems. So that's gonna be a very interesting project. I mean, that one.
Is that the village that you're talking?
Yes, that's the new building that's under design now. They're doing preliminary work, and preliminary engineering is they're kind of excited about the potential, because the groundwater is about 56 degrees, and you've got a temperature differential that basically you can use that energy to your advantage for that building, so it'll be kind of neat.
We are, probably in a couple of weeks going back to college with, I guess the final schematic design of that building, and, it's gonna be, I think, a game changer for that campus. ENIAD is the architecture firm, and it's the old Jim Polchak firm, and
Polchak, yeah.
we really believe it's gonna be a wow building that will really create a beacon there in Jamaica to move New York, so.
That's great.
Yeah. You also have solar in the new Lehman Science Facility. There's some solar energy.
Yeah.
Also wastewater. It's a very, very efficient building. The
Yeah.
new Lehman building,
Mm.
it's probably reaching a gold LEED certification.
Wow.
And for a science
almost
building,
definitely a gold.
That's
remarkable.
And maybe
Yeah,
better. So it's, that's really remarkable for a science building. Some innovative stuff in that building.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much, Russ. Really appreciate it, and thank you very much, Iris and your whole team, and everybody else for all of the great work that you're doing and keeping us moving and keeping things going the way you are. So if there are no other items, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, thank you very much, and hope everybody has a great weekend and rest of today and tomorrow, and then a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
Yes.
I'm gonna